It's a wonderful place to meet exceedingly interesting people whom you can form bonds with. It's a community that no matter where you go, if you find your local SCA group, you're going to be welcomed. Well, mundanely, I'm Carl Hamner, and I'm the Director of Scholarly Affairs at the Capstone College of Nursing for the University of Alabama. In the SCA, I am Sven Indraudi Egilson. I am the Seneschal of the Shire of Oakbourne Keep in the Kingdom of Meridies. Being Seneschal means you are the administrator of the group. You're the group president.
My main area is field heraldry. I'm like the announcer in the arena. Oyez, oyez, my lords and my ladies, to my dexter, and then to my sinister. I'm like the guy in the top hat in the three-ring circus. My name is Jeff Combs. My persona is Lord Guntram von Kern. The Society for Creative Anachronism is made up of a variety of kingdoms. Here in this region is East Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, and just a little bit of the panhandle of Florida. And so we call this area the Kingdom of Meridies.
When I explain the SCA to people outside of the society, and they say, why do you do it? And I say, well, because little people let me hit them with sticks. Good. It's fun. Fighting is a whole lot of fun.
When our people take the field on combat, it's not predestined. It is whoever actually wins. It's a historical journey of what medieval life was like.
We encourage personas. I have a history for Sven Egilson.
You may have heard it said, discover yourself through the looking glass of history. And what it boils down to in the SCA is the more I find out about Guntram and who Guntram may have been, the more I find out about who Jeff is.
Church gives you a place where you belong. The SCA does that for me.
There's really not that far of a drive from anywhere in Alabama to the closest shire, and it's really nice that we have one centered here in Tuscaloosa. I'm Sean Kirkpatrick. I'm 20 years old. I'm a freshman in the University of Alabama. I've done fencing for about two and a half years. I've done some different martial arts, taekwondo, kenjutsu, a little bit of Okinawan karate. The one-on-one aspect of the SCA has really appealed to me with just one man going out and fighting and seeing who's better and who's more skilled. Fighting is a lot of fun. It's a lot harder than it looked when I was just watching a fighter's practice. After you strap on that armor and you're dancing around out there for a couple minutes, you realize I'm wearing 70, 80 pounds of pure metal on my body and I'm tired. And you just kind of push through it, and I'll start getting better at fighting. I don't think I did too badly at my first fighter practice.
When you're new, you get clobbered.
There's just something so childlike in essence of just running out and hitting a guy with a stick.
In the SCA, you find those people that would be geeks. That's where they're not self-conscious anymore. That's where they're comfortable. And when you find someone in their comfort zone, they are the funniest thing to be around. My name is Haley Wells, known by some as Sorka the Heron Chaser. I graduated from the University of Alabama, and that's where I joined the SCA.
You start to fight, and you know fairly quickly if you're going to be a fighter, because you either love it and you put up with the hits and the bruises and sometimes the brutal heat in the armor, but you don't sweat the small stuff because that's the price of the game.
The fighting, the combat is definitely why I joined. My first tournament was at an event called Black Axe. I was really nervous. You get out there and you're like, oh, everybody's watching you and this kind of matters. It's not a practice, you're not just going to get up and do it again. When you're on the field and you get hit, you kind of consider a few things. One, did you feel it? And was it heavy enough? But then the second thought is, if I call that light or don't call the shot at all, they're going to hit me harder next time. Do I really need them to hit me harder to get the point Even if you don't call it, you know you got hit. That's for sure. And some people blow through it and won't call them, and you know they make you pretty much like literally take their head off before they'll call a shot.
They call us stick jocks for a reason. We get, you know, we're fighting junkies. It's so much fun. I mean, sometimes you go through there and you get hit first time when you're going through a port. Other times, my last guy is standing. I got 2 guys who have been legged and are on the ground, and he's got 2 guys on him. So I took off running, and they didn't realize who was coming until it was too late. So I legged that first guy, killed the next guy, and turned around just for when my last guy, who had been legged, took the last kill. So we won that fight. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and you make friends doing that. You know, it's such a blast.
Every fight you're in makes you realize what you need to work on.
Part of the joy of fighting is the improving the skill.
Either you need to work on remembering something when you get to the field, or you need to work on fighting with one arm, or you know you need to work on fighting with your knees, or you need to work on fighting people who are on their knees, who have been legged.
The idea behind the SCA is that you are doing things because this is the organization that we enjoy.
My name is Brian Moore. I'm a computer programmer in Knoxville, Tennessee. In the SCA, my name is Alexander Ravenscroft. Currently, I am the Beacon Principal Herald of the Kingdom of Meridies.
To be granted all ranks, titles, rights, and responsibilities attendant upon this elevation.
This is a volunteer organization, and everything that we do is somebody giving up their time and energy to dedicate to the functioning of the organization. So, you know, whether they have a job, whether they have school or kids or anything else like that, they're volunteering their time and effort. Over time, because of what an individual does, that individual can earn additional rank in the SCA. There's something referred to as the elevated peerage, and the elevated peerage is the people who in the SCA have been considered to be the top of what it is they do. There are 3 basic areas of this one: the martial area, the arts and sciences area, and the service area. The martial area is where we then create somebody to be a knight, and that is someone who is addressed as a sir.
Yeah, I'm hoping to become a knight. That's one of my goals in the SCA. If I don't get knighted, that's fine. It's really the journey that matters more than the destination. But it would be cool to be a knight, and I would like that. So that's part of what I'm aspiring to. You become a knight through becoming a good enough fighter that they feel that your fighting quality is high enough to qualify, that you've done service.
Being called up and being awarded something, you know, it feels good. In some ways, it's a validation that the SCA is part of you and you are part of the SCA. So it becomes something that means a great deal to people. I think in a lot of ways, the connections with other people is the part of the SCA that I like the most.
I told a friend of ours, you know, I would really like to go to my senior prom in garb. I mean, how cool would that be? My name is Price Lawrence mundanely, but in the SCA I am Gwydion ap Urian.
I am Jessica Lawrence mundanely, but Aylwin with no last name as of yet in the SCA.
We have been married for nearly 3 years. It'll be 3 years in May.
And last weekend we celebrated 7 years since our first date.
I looked into my mother's eyes. There was wisdom and insight. With every thought and word and deed, which one will you feed?
One of those lucky guys that got to find their best friend, you know, and then fall in love with her.
His first cousin is actually a close friend of mine. When she introduced us, we kind of hit it off right away, and it took us a couple years before we went on our first date, but once we had our first date, it's history.
I couldn't get rid of her.
Period dresses are difficult to get into by yourself.
Period-esque.
Period-esque.
There you go.
You didn't tuck it.
I really like it when Jess comes and watches me fight. It's I don't know. It kind of completes the idea of war or a tournament. So, you know, with the lady in waiting. And because I couldn't do that. I wouldn't do this without her. The SCA is fun, but if she wasn't into it, no, I wouldn't do it. So we are mustering. It's 8:30 in the morning, and I'm really tired because I didn't get back to camp until 4 o'clock this morning, and it's now 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm still drunk.
Glory to the black and white! Glory to the black and white! Radiate was born to fight!
We are getting ready to start the ravine battle, which is going to take place in this big wide expanse here.
The ravine battle is fun, but I've already blown out my knee once, and I'm not going to risk my knee in the ravine battle. Because it's in a ravine and you're running around in armor.
I have no clue what happens in the ravine battle. This will be my first time to ever be in the ravine battle.
I love the open field battles. Love the castle battles. That's what's really exciting to me about the field battles is that it's very different from single combat.
All of a sudden, you were just moving across the ground with this great rumble, and you can hear the fighting from anywhere on that site, and probably off the site. I'm sure the people that live around there who really appreciate it.
In single combat, you're worried about one opponent trying to best them versus worrying about the whole dynamics of war and what you're doing and what your unit is doing.
You're running at them, and your whole mindset is, oh, hell yeah. You don't always have a choice in whether or not you're going forward. If 4 people are pushing back at you with 1,800 people behind them, you're going to end up at the bottom of that pile.
It's fun. Fighting is a whole lot of fun.
Oh, I've had a blast. Next year I can't wait to be armored up.
I think I did pretty well. I stayed in there a lot, broke through a lot of the runs. I got killed a hell of a lot, but God, that was awesome. I'm ready to go again. Right now.
I'd like to thank you all for coming out today and fighting your hearts out in this battle. It was awesome. We got just a few more words to say before we close this thing up.
So it's not all just a stage play, but yet it's also rooted in history. So it's that balance, and there isn't really an equivalent there.
You meet somebody and you've got a connection to them. You've got a common interest.
We've found a community. My daughter's still in the SCA, so she was more or less raised in the SCA.
So as I'm figuring out this character persona that I'm playing a part, it's a self-discovery. So I think people forget that.